Number 5. SCP-1128. Number 5 on our list, 1128, is a terrifying entity that manifests itself as a colossal aquatic predator. It's sometimes described as a being similar to a shark, only in a more grotesque and twisted appearance, with common descriptions across all sightings being a mouth full of teeth. The entity manifests itself as an aquatic predator to anyone who is given a full description of the beast's appearance, either through a written description or a spoken description, so sorry for describing it. Few surviving subjects have described it as resembling a massive monstrous deformed shark. Once a subject is exposed to detailed knowledge of 1128, they become infected by its latent psychic ability, forming a connection. From here, no immediate abnormal changes in behavior or occurrences are present, with the only notable variance being a hesitation to enter bodies of water, for good reason too. Once an exposed subject submerges themselves completely in water, they are caught by 1128. Any submerged water is enough. Subjects are taken mysteriously to an ocean, the location of which is redacted by the Foundation. From here, you are hunted by SCP-1128. The Foundation patrols this unmarked ocean in a desperate attempt to contain the creature and protect anyone unfortunate enough to be caught in its trap. It's difficult to interview subjects after an exposure, as any detailed description of the encounter does run the risk of contaminating more Foundation members. Should a member or subject become infected by SCP-1128, treatment is immediately advised, with Class C amnesiacs being used to try and block memory of the entity. So, maybe for your sake and my sake, try to forget number 5 entirely, for your own safety. Now, the Foundation does advise that if you've been enjoying the content that we produce, you should toss a subscribe our way. Number 4. SCP-1451. SCP-1451 is an odd one, even by Foundation standards. SCP-1451 presents itself as a set of 26 metal statues at the bottom of the ocean. All appear to be statues of children of varying heights. The statues are all standing in a circle, holding each other's hands and facing outwards in a ring formation. Should any object, living or otherwise, with a mass greater than 40 grams enter into the ring, SCP-1451 begins to animate. The statues will shift themselves in a counterclockwise movement. Their hands will raise and lower slightly, and bubbles can be seen protruding from their mouths. Once it becomes fully animated, SCP-1451 displays advanced strength and tactics, being reported to use various martial arts to dispatch targets, pressure point application on humans, and precise strikes on machinery. They move in perfect unison and coordination, with some speculation that they operate on some level of hive mind mentality across the 26 individual entities. Once SCP-1451 has begun its hunt, it will not rest until it is disposed of whatever invaded its territory. The Foundation refers to 3 states of SCP-1451. Class 1 is the initial ring of statues in its inert state, Class 2 is the slight animation and bubbling seen present, and a Class 3 situation is when an active hunt has begun. To try and prevent a Class 3 situation, the SCP Foundation has installed a sphere of wire mesh netting to ensure nothing too large enters the ring. Natural water currents and oceanic movement aren't to be obstructed. The creature does need to eat sometimes. Number 3. SCP-835. SCP-835 manifests itself as a large cluster of polyps resembling a species of coral, although it's significantly larger than any discovered species of coral. The center mass of the cluster is a very large oval with 3-meter long polyps at each end. SCP-835 does not move, instead anchoring itself to the ocean floor using heaving tentacles that protrude from the polyps. The tentacles are coated in an adhesive substance and have been shown to be incredibly strong, capable of damaging bulkheads and steel. The coral base of SCP-835 is extremely durable and resistant to most attempts to collect any tissue samples, with the Foundation having to use high-powered diamond drill bits to collect even small samples of DNA. SCP-835 emits a large mass of semi-liquid material several times a day from each polyp. The toxic substance appears to be a mixture of digested solids, fecal matters, several bacteria, viruses, and parasites, with many sequences having originated only from 835. So what exactly makes SCP-835 so threatening? Well, sample reports from SCP-835 have shown that it's comprised almost exclusively of human DNA. Its hard shell seems to be recycled tooth enamel, its tentacles matching human flesh. A Level 4 clearance declassified document from the Foundation detailed an encounter with an underwater isolation team, in which 2 members of the isolation team were swallowed by SCP-835, pulled in by its tentacles deep underneath what they had initially thought to be a cave, but realized was the contents of SCP-835's stomach. The crew members reported descending deeper and deeper, spending up to 72 hours inside the creature's digestive tract, the insides of its intestines lined with remnants of unfortunate victims, claiming that they had been morphed into flesh, and there was a wall of faces crying for release. Eventually, one of the crew members was released, though after significant breaches to its suit, Unfortunately, he had to be let go from the Foundation. We thank him for his service. Number 2. SCP-1092. SCP-1092 presents itself as a class of Asteichthyes fish, and when the creature is matured, it resembles any number of other ocean-dwelling fish, with the only notable variance being its increased aggressive behavior, attacking prey. It's difficult for the Foundation to study, as only adult specimens can be studied, as in its juvenile phase, SCP-1092 are parasites birthed from a living host. Once SCP-1092 infects the bloodstream of its host, absorbing nutrients directly from the host's blood. Once exposed, the parasites initially are but a few millimeters in most its size, but grow many times their size, with the largest extracted one on record being 2.1 centimeters. There is insufficient data on how SCP-1092 infects its hosts. The current research data theorizes that minuscule eggs makes its way into the body through small cuts and scrapes, which would explain the fish's violent tendencies. Those infected by SCP-1092 report fatigue, weight loss, and increased appetite, and in many cases report a feeling of something fluttering or squirming inside the body. However, this is not present in all cases, as there are reported case files of hosts not experiencing any visible symptoms whatsoever until the parasite has unfortunately matured to its adult aquatic stage. Once the parasites have matured, the now adolescent creature will try to forcibly remove themselves from the physical body of their host, using their sharp teeth to cut through blood vessels and skin. Subjects at this stage will sustain injuries, severe blood loss, and in some cases worse. Thankfully, the SCP Foundation has effectively secured SCP-1092, keeping it housed in a completely watertight cell, where it is given the occasional domestic pig to act as a host for its reproductive cycle. Poor little piggy. Thank you, piggy. Thank you, Foundation. Number 1. SCP-3000. SCP-3000 is one of the most powerful SCPs currently being monitored by the Foundation. SCP-3000 is a Class 8 cognitohazardous entity and is a Level 5 classified document. I really shouldn't even be talking to you about this, but it's good to get this information out there. It is a massive, massive aquatic sea serpent that closely resembles a moray eel, only gigantic. There's been significant difficulty in efforts in trying to document its true size, but it is estimated to be anywhere between 600 and 900 kilometers in length, with its head measuring roughly 2.5 meters wide and its body as large as 10 meters in diameter. SCP-3000, thankfully, is typically a sedentary creature, not moving much at all, usually only responding to feeding. The majority of its body rarely moves. SCP-3000 has been known to be carnivorous, and when it hunts, it has been known to move exceedingly quickly. Fascinatingly, despite its gargantuan size, SCP-3000 does not appear to need sustenance to maintain its body's function, and thus its digestive process is unknown. Although complicating matters slightly is a process wherein SCP-3000 disperses a thin layer of viscous dark gray sludge through its skin whilst it consumes its prey. It doesn't stop there though. SCP-3000 has been recognized to cause severe mental damage in those who research it. Direct observation and study has been proven to cause mental alteration in Foundation researchers, experiencing paranoia, fear, anxiety, memory loss, and most worryingly, inexplicable severe headaches. It's unknown how SCP-3000 causes this, but the theories are that it has a latent psychic ability. There are some who believe SCP-3000 could be an old god that has found its way into our world. The creature is too immense to be contained in any Foundation facility, instead being kept in a clandestine area of the Bay of Bengal, in an area barred from the public, routinely patrolled and surrounded by Foundation vessels. Be extremely thankful that the brave members of the Foundation are researching and containing this. Secure, contain, protect. Those are the goals of the Foundation.
In at number 5, we have SCP-096, the Shy Guy. 096 is also known as the Shy Guy, but do not let his name fool you. His appearance alone can terrify even the toughest person. They are one of the most horrific SCP creatures of all. They are an emaciated, bone-white, hairless humanoid with long dangly arms and legs. This creature tends to be docile, but it has one trigger that makes them highly dangerous whenever someone looks directly at their face. Their face has blank eyes and a mouth that can stretch up to 5 times the normal size of a regular human. No matter how close you are to this creature, if you look at its face, even from a far distance or just for a second, it will go berserk. If this happens, it will start to flail, cry and babble before chasing down the offender and violently attacking them. If 096 gets provoked and someone looks at their face, it will stop at nothing to take down their prey. There isn't an obstacle it cannot get past. It can smash through steel doors and walls, running endlessly across huge distances, and even able to swim to the very bottom of the ocean to pluck said offender and destroy them. The only ability it does not have is it isn't able to fly, but it uses its extremely long arms to run, similar to a gorilla that uses their arms along with their legs to walk, and they launch off the ground to gain air and distance for a quicker capture of their prey. If this destructive creature is able to get captured, they must have a bag put on their head to make everyone that is around them safe, but accidents happen, and they have happened. 096 is one of the most well-known, iconic and recognizable SCPs of all time. In at number 4 we have SCP-939 with many voices. 939 is known as with many voices, and they are a species of bright red amphibian predators, each one as big as an adult man, and they weigh over 400 pounds. They don't appear to have many vital organs, lacking a nervous system, heart or digestive tract, and their elongated heads have no eyes and a large set of glowing dagger-like red teeth. They are terrifying to look at, but also can cause mass destruction. Despite being literally brainless, they are smart due to the way they hunt their prey. They have the ability to imitate the voices of prior victims, usually repeating urgent phrases to lure a good Samaritan to come to their aid and then attack them with their deadly bite. They also exhale an amnesia-inducing chemical, so if anybody is lucky enough to escape being killed and eaten, there is a good chance they won't remember what just happened, and could possibly get fooled by the creature's tricks again. If you ever hear mysterious calls for help, make sure it's not 939 or you will be devoured by this giant red amphibian. They also like to travel in packs, which is even more terrifying, and once they lay eyes on their prey, 939s are persistent and will continue to pursue said prey until they capture them. This monster is believed by many SCP fans to be a version of the devil due to tricking humans into thinking they're innocent, taking advantage of their vulnerability, and ultimately leading to that person's demise. Using their massive mouth and sharp teeth to instantly kill their prey, 939 loves to prey on humans due to the fact that they can trick them so easily, and they can take advantage of people's kindness to lure them in. In at number 3 we have SCP-106, the Old Man. 106, or otherwise known as the Old Man, is a terrifying looking elderly humanoid. Do not let his older appearance fool you, he is deadly. This creature has the general appearance of a human but looks like a rotting or decaying corpse. It is not too agile and can remain motionless for days at a time, waiting for his prey to come to him. This creature is capable of scaling any vertical surface and can remain suspended upside down indefinitely. When 106 will attempt to incapacitate their prey by damaging major organs, muscle groups or tendons, they then pull prey into its pocket dimension. They prefer human prey from 10 to 25 years old, but if they haven't had prey for a while, they will take anyone or any living thing. This creature is very smart and has many abilities, making it hard to capture. They are able to cause corrosion effect in all solid matter it touches, engaging a physical breakdown in materials several seconds after contact. This is observed as rusting, rotting and cracking of materials, and the creation of a black mucus-like substance similar to the material that coats 106. It is also capable of passing through solid matter, leaving behind a large patch of its corrosive mucus. This demonic monster remains in a maximum secure area. No physical interaction with 106 is allowed at any time. All staff must stay away, and they need to always stay at least 6 meters away from the cell, except in the event of a security breach. He resides in a sealed container comprised of a lead-lined steel, and it is sealed within 40 layers of identical material. The cell is also suspended in the air so that this creature can never be able to escape. Any object or material lost to SCP-106 is deemed missing, and no recovery attempts are to be made under any circumstances. If this creature escapes, it could be detrimental. In at number 2 we have SCP-049, the Plague Doctor. 049, otherwise known as the Plague Doctor, is popular among SCP fans. At first glance, it's not the most terrifying creature out there. It's dressed like a man who is dressed in a black hooded robe and a silvery ceramic mask with long bird-like nose. It has since been found out that this attire is an extension of his body, being fused permanently and organically to his flesh. It is a humanoid entity around 6 feet tall and resembles the appearance of a medieval plague doctor. This creature's intent is ridding the world of of the disease, which has yet to be elaborated on, so no one really knows what his true motive is. He selectively chooses which patients he wants to operate on, and his mysteriousness makes him even more terrifying. His touch is fatal, and when he has a cadaver to work on, he cuts them open with no medicine and makes them watch while he performs on them with a strange set of medical tools and serums. Once the operation is complete to the plague doctor's standards, the patients are never the same again, and they lack any higher brain power functions, so they tend to roam around in a zombie-like state. 049 goes from patient to patient because that is what they enjoy and what motivates them, so they try and find the right match quickly. If they go too long without finding a victim, they grow impatient and go completely nuts, ultimately tearing their targets apart in anger. This demonic creature is smart enough to speak but usually chooses not to. He is silent but deadly. When he does choose to speak, he rarely deviates from the subject of curing the pestilence. Under no circumstance should you ever come in contact with this creature due to his unpredictability and sudden burst of rage. You never know what it will be like, and it could be deadly for you. The Plague Doctor is the stuff of nightmares and horror movies, and you should avoid it at all costs. And finally, in at number 1, we have SCP-682, the Hard to Destroy Reptile. One of the scariest and most well-known SCP creatures is the Hard to Destroy Reptile. It is a massive cold-blooded quadruped with more intelligence than a human. Despite being highly intelligent, he is also extremely dangerous and hateful towards pretty much every living thing. This demonic creature enjoys showing humans and other life forms his distaste for them by ripping them to pieces. It also has massive strength, speed, reflexes, and can regenerate flesh at a rapid pace, and is able to adapt to hostile environments in the blink of an eye. Other abilities this creature possesses is it can bring itself back from the dead. Many have attempted with everything from bullets to acid and fire to even nuclear bombs, but nothing can destroy this beast. Not even other SCP creatures are able to destroy this monster. It can also evolve and change its body when needed. It can consume organic or inorganic materials to provide for the necessary mass, and it has been known to grow additional organs. This creature was discovered by the Foundation after it killed a few farmers on the grounds of being disgusted. If you try and destroy him or get your revenge on this creature, good luck, because it is damn near impossible, hence its nickname, the Hard to Destroy Reptile. It could appear as though you did destroy it, but that is exactly what they want you to think. They will appear dead at first, but then quickly adapt and find a counter to said opponent, returning to life with even more abilities than before. One example was that the beast was launched into the sun. It returned a few days later as a winged fire creature, which caused massive devastation when it landed back on Earth. The creature is one of the most dangerous creatures in possession by the Foundation for all its abilities and its hatred for all life.
Number 5 on this list is SCP-966. SCP-966 is a very disturbing type of creature that needs to be caught. The SCP Foundation describes them as predatory creatures that resemble hairless humans possessing an elongated face with a mouth lined with needle-like teeth. On each hand, they have 5 claws that can be up to 20 centimeters long. Although sharp, these are easily broken, making them unfit for combat. SCP-966's height ranges from 1.4 to 1.6 meters, and they can reach up to 30 kilograms in weight. Physically, SCP-966 are weak, possessing hollow bones and low muscular density. They do not seem to rest through sleep. Instead, they will suddenly cease all movement at seemingly random intervals of time, resuming normal activity 3 to 5 minutes later. Now, those creatures don't sound very appealing to me, and even though they have weak bones, they aren't something that I'd want to have a run-in with by myself. And my instincts hold true because humans are on the menu for SCP-966. The problem is the way that they hunt. Because they're so frail, a head-on attack isn't how they get their prey. They need to be a lot more stealthy. So what they do instead is emit a very high-pitched frequency that won't allow the individual hearing it to engage in any sleep at all. This applies to REM sleep all the way to microsleep. It's said that the range of this high-pitched frequency is 20 meters, and once you're hit with it, there's no going back. SCP-966 will then stalk you until your exhaustion incapacitates you to a point where it can safely attack and consume you. Along with exhaustion, this high-pitched frequency can also bring on vivid hallucinations and sharp changes in someone's temperament. So far, there's been no cure for being hit with this frequency, so even if you're capable of finding SCP-966 and killing it before you get too tired, you'll be doomed to live the rest of your life without sleep, which is effectively a death sentence anyways. Ever since this SCP has been discovered, the numbers have been thinned, but there's still many of them on the loose and at large. Number 4 on this list is SCP-3129. SCP-3129 is a very strange SCP that can't really ever be caught because it's just a phenomenon that occurs. That being said, we need to develop some way to either catch it or stop it from happening because it's very detrimental to our society. There are 3 stages to this SCP. The first stage, as described by the Foundation, is when phenomena invariably focus upon a human male aged somewhere between 40 and 50, hereafter designated SCP-3129-1. SCP-3129 transmissions can vary in presentation and length wildly, but invariably remain on the topic of SCP-3129-1's apparent election bid. No instances of SCP-3129 have been found outside of the continental United States or present in any non-English languages. So stage 1 is basically something that occurs on television and appears to those who are watching. Stage 2, as described by the Foundation, begins after 2 to 4 weeks of exposure to stage 1 phenomena. Up to 8% of viewers will become fixated upon SCP-3129-1. Civilians more politically aligned with the ideas presented in SCP-3129 commercials are more susceptible to infection. SCP-3129 adverts have not shown any overall political bias. Class B amnestics are effective at treating stage 2 infection. Now, the final stage that the Foundation describes is an infection displaying fanatical devotion to SCP-31291. They argue with open hostility against opposing viewpoints and ideologies. Stage 3 infected tend to seek out other infected in person and by way of online message boards and communities. This SCP isn't as dangerous as some of the others on this list to our health, but to our society it's by far the most detrimental. Whatever or whoever SCP-3129 chooses to support, those who witness its occurrence will also feel extremely passionate about the same thing. It's effectively a brainwashing tool that no one is in control of. This SCP completely destroys any sense of democracy and takes away our human free will. I don't know how you could catch something like this, but finding a way to identify it when it happens and interfere with the broadcast, I mean, that's definitely something that we need to be looking into. Number 3 on this list is SCP-169. SCP-169 is one of the SCPs on this list that has the potential to kill millions if it's so desired. The Foundation describes this creature as a marine arthropod of enormous size known as the Leviathan by generations of sailors and oral history. Presumed at first to be a myth, SCP-169 was detected by Mobile Task Force Gamma-6 during an investigation of paranormal activity around the archipelago. During Y6's investigation, a doctor whose name they don't reveal discovered the archipelago to have moved at least 3 kilometers from its original location. Though initially the doctor believed this motion to be due to unusually quick continental drift, a reconnaissance mission performed by the USS revealed the archipelago to be the protrusions of rock-like plates covering an enormous organic mass. The Foundation was brought in immediately to begin threat management. The Foundation goes on to say that they think this arthropod's size is somewhere between 2,000 to 8,000 kilometers long. The Foundation does not specify which archipelago they're talking about, but they do say that if this arthropod was to go deeper into the ocean or the earth, then all these islands would sink as well. The one positive thing about all of this is that the creature is thought to only breathe once every 3 months. This has led experts to believe that it's in a dormant state and it's not fully awake right now. If it did ever become fully awake and aware, then who knows what this creature is capable of doing. I live in Ontario, and the north to south distance of this province is 1,691 kilometers, meaning that this creature could be 2, 3, or even 4 times the size of Ontario. I doubt we'd ever be able to fully catch this beast based on how big it is, but some means of containment, I mean, that would definitely be nice. Number 2 on this list is SCP-3310. SCP-3310 is honestly not much to look at all. In fact, it's just a tree stump that's floating in a lake. But it's what that tree stump can cause that makes it so dangerous. The Foundation describes SCP-3310 as a 9-meter tall tree stump floating in Crater Lake. SCP-3310 is anomalously able to float upright with approximately 1.2 meters of the top remaining above the water at any given time. If removed removed from the water and returned, SCP-3310 will return to this position. SCP-3310 floats around Crater Lake as a result of non-anomalous weather patterns. The restriction of this movement causes two distinct and possibly linked anomalous phenomena referred to as SCP-33101 and SCP-33102. Previously, activation events were caused by the removal of SCP-3310 from Crater Lake, but recent activation events have occurred while SCP-3310 remained in Crater Lake. Both of these phenomena demanifest after the triggering cause for the manifestation is ended. Now, the first of these phenomena that the Foundation is referring to will cause a great fog to appear over the surrounding areas with torrential rainfalls. In some of the events that have happened, over 3 meters of water have rained down in a very short amount of time, causing massive flooding. The second phenomena has several unknown humanoid entities appear and flock to this tree stump. The entities change depending on the time this happens, and no one has any idea who or what they are. This is why this SCP needs to be stopped and captured. Floods aren't great, but we can deal with those. The entities and what they are capable of, though, is completely unknown to us. One time this happens, they may decide to attack us humans, and without any knowledge of their strength, we might not be able to stop them. For now, we can at least take comfort that we know where this SCP will be, but capturing and containing it should be at the forefront of the Foundation's mind. Number 1 on this list is SCP-973. SCP-973 is a very unique SCP that only manifests itself on a 60-kilometer stretch of highway, but it's certainly one of the deadliest that I've come across. The SCP Foundation describes this as being 2 entities. SCP-931 is a police cruiser resembling those used by state troopers in the early 1970s. The vehicle appears to be in an advanced state of disrepair. Eyewitnesses' accounts have consistently mentioned large dents in the doors and hood, a heavily cracked windshield, heavy rusting, and a loose rear bumper secured with duct tape. SCP-932 is reported as a Caucasian male in his late 40s wearing a state trooper uniform dating from the same time period as SCP-9731. Subject is described as balding, slightly overweight, and having a handlebar mustache. Now, nobody knows for sure how this SCP came to be. Some people speculate that this was an old police officer who died along this road and now haunts it. If that is the case, though, he was very serious about his job because he only shows up on this highway for a very specific event. It needs to be at night, it needs to be on this stretch of highway, and there needs to be somebody driving along that road who's going above the speed limit. If all of those things are met, then SCP-973 has the potential to materialize and will begin chasing down the person driving. While this is happening, the target's radio will simultaneously start malfunctioning and repeating over and over again, "Run." Over the years, 34 bodies have been found and 19 vehicles have been discovered. I would go into detail about how these bodies were discovered, but it's honestly so graphic that YouTube would definitely flag this video. There have only been 5 survivors and they've all had serious mental trauma from this experience. I'm not sure how you'd catch SCP-973, but something has to be done to stop these brutalistic deaths from continuing.